Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for introducing me. Today, Japan is not an exception from the other most developed countries. Fewer and fewer young people are interested in agriculture studies. In this presentation, I'll try to clarify or explain some trials of Japanese universities to educate young students, aiming at the stimulation of those students to work in agriculture sectors in some ways in the future. I wanted to start with the overview of agriculture production and human workforce problems surrounding agriculture in Japan. But because of the time limitations, I will start from the situation of present agriculture education at most universities in Japan, and also start from this section, agriculture higher education in Japan. This graph shows the proportion of vocational high schools. From 1955 to 2014, and here is the red color shows the proportion of vocational high schools, and it becomes very low now. It's just smaller than the 20%. But other high schools, those people are going to the universities, of course, and in the vocational high schools, agriculture is here is just 13%. This is the data of 2014. And other vocational studies like industry, commerce, fisheries, or others high proportion, but the agriculture is just 13.3%. This graph shows the number of high school. Okay, total high schools, it's about 9,000. It goes down like this, but the agriculture, the vocational school, agriculture high schools, the percent is about 5% of total vocational high school, total high schools, about 5%. And this is this graph shows the total high school students, and about 5%. About 3% of the high school students are studying in agriculture's high schools. Then university students. This is the in 1955 to 2014, starting from 1955. So the proportion of agricultural students of the university, starting from about 4.5%, but now it's going down to about 2.5%. So very small numbers of students studied at the agricultures. Then on the right side, those are students of the postgraduate school. This master's program in the blue light, and blue bar, and doctoral program is the red line. So, and in total, both the masters and the doctors, those are in total is about 5%. So remember that in the undergraduate school, the proportion of agriculture is about 2.5%. But in the postgraduate school, the proportion increased to 5%. So it means more people, more students are going to study agriculture. Then this is the data of our university, Nagoya University. After graduation, this is undergraduate student, master's student, and a doctorate student. And this is the average in the past 10 years, 20 2005 to 2014. So average of past 10 years. And here the undergraduate schools, 100 graduates graduated from this school, and about 75% of the students goes to the postgraduate school. Others get a job at the private sector or some others. And then masters, most graduate from master students, it's getting a job in private sectors, about over 70% students. Only about 15% go up to the doctoral programs. After graduation of doctoral programs, they go to the, most likely they go to the private sectors, okay? And some are getting the public jobs. Okay, in Japan, I think that's the same of the other developed countries, universities. This is the name. Sorry. This is the name of the faculty or school of the universities, and this is the high school. In high school, agriculture high school, they study about agronomy, horticulture, animal science, food science, agriculture, environment engineering, gardening, or bioengineering. This is the example of the Hyogo Prefecture, one of the famous Japanese prefecture in agriculture. So those are, very common to us. But for the Nagoya National Universities, they changed. This is undergraduate school or faculty. They changed agriculture, agricultural sciences, agriculture and life sciences, applied biological sciences, life and environmental sciences, bioresources, and horticulture. So they need to change the name of the faculty or schools. That is because, of course, you understand that they need to attract the people to come to those faculties. At the graduate schools, they're very similar. The agricultural sciences, agriculture and life science, agriculture and life science, and biological science. Some others, bioresources and bioenvironmental sciences. So they try to change the name of the faculties and to attract the students. But the problem is, this is an example of the Nagoya University School of Agricultural Sciences. This is undergraduate course, bioenvironmental science, bioresource sciences, applied biosciences. So this is the not only agriculture, but also life science or basic science it covers. And graduate school of bioagricultural sciences, I belong to this graduate school, okay, department. 4 departments, biosphere resources sciences, biological mechanisms and functions, applied molecular biosciences, bioengineering sciences. And our division, ICCAE, is in the course of international cooperation in agriculture sciences. Now, the situation of the present agriculture education at most university in Japan, education at the university through the research, So even though, as I said, the university changed their names of faculty or schools and to attract the student, and at the same time they prefer to do the basic sciences, not only the practical science. They changed from practical science to the basic science. But in terminology of agriculture, originally I checked with the 2 dictionaries. You can see here, and the agriculture must be, practical science led to the development of agricultural technologies by its nature, and expected to solve the practical farming and livestock problems. So, however, agriculture has extended from practical science to the rather basic science. And nowadays, more and more researchers of universities and agriculture research institutions, particularly in Japan, are tended to engage in basic science research. As a result, students may lose interest or cannot introduce interest in agriculture studies because, the student will will be educated through the research. And research is very basic research, basic science. And the former presenter said they cannot find the connection of food and agriculture. Okay, so how can students have interest in agriculture? I think they need to understand what is going on the agriculture field. So to meet urgent needs in solving the problem in improvement of agriculture production, they need to change from the basic science to practical science of agriculture. We need to educate the student for the practical aspect of agriculture sciences. To do that, we need to expose, to understand various problems to be solved urgently in farming and agriculture through visiting villages and interviewing farmers. I mean exposing young people to current and real situations of agriculture. You know, I have been working for the International Cooperation of Agriculture in the past about 40 years, focusing on Africa and Asian developed regions of those areas. And my presentation is based on my experiences. Okay, so to expose young people to current and real situations, the role of teachers or researchers engaged in this higher education is very important, because they are supposed to guide and lead young students to the field studies, you know, because as I said, they can't find the connection between food and agriculture. But once they understand what is going on the field, agriculture field, some of them, not all of them, I said, some of them may have interest in, you know, working the problems, in solving the problems. So it's very important to expose those students to the real situation of agriculture. And to do that, in Japan, maybe your country has already this kind of approaches. Overseas, one is overseas study tour of undergraduate students. Another one is education through the overseas research collaboration between Japan and the developing countries. This is one of the program, which is called the SATREPS. I'll explain later on about that. So joint training program for undergraduate students. This one, Nagoya University have started one program for the undergraduate students in 2009. They sent the students of Nagoya University to either Cambodia or Thailand for the training, joint training of those young peoples. You know, you can see those students are interviewing the farmers. Also, they're interviewing farmers. What is the problem? What is your life? What's going on in your, you know, farming? And, you know, by interviewing and discussing among the students between, you know, Japanese student and Cambodian student or Thai students, they started understanding the real situation of the agricultural farming. The objective of this project is, you know, the basic understanding agriculture is the most important primary industry and should be placed in the front line of the development of food security. And target is the undergraduate students. You know, it's a joint program between Royal University of Agriculture, RUA of Cambodia and Kansas University and Nagoya University. These are joint programs. And purpose is to understand the agriculture in different countries, Cambodia, Thailand, and Japan, having different culture and natures. And this is a very important point, to observe the reality of agriculture and its related industries with scientific eyes. Oh, okay. Okay. Characteristics. Okay. This is a joint training program in Cambodia, Thailand. Okay. The student joined this program has just changed their eyes, and they realize to what is the problem and what they have to study. Once they know the real situations. Okay. So this is SATREPS, as I said. This is a joint program between Ministry of Education and Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So under Ministry of Foreign Affairs, JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, work as, and this is the JST, Japan Science and Technology Agency. They collaborate with each other to have the international joint research programs. Okay. And the important component of this program is to the capacity development through the joint international joint research. This capacity development, of course, the Japanese students and also the developing country students. That is a very important component. Now, there are several research areas. Then you can see the sustainable utilization by our resources, and totally it started from 2008 and 2014. It's now totally 87 projects are going on throughout the world, but the developing countries. 87 projects in 41 countries. Okay? And one of the examples is SATREPS in Kenya, which our university is conducting. That is a project to develop the stress-tolerant rice varieties. Okay. There are several stresses, abiotic stresses. So they're trying to develop the stress-tolerant varieties of rice. So towards human capacity development of meeting food security and global changes, I think we need to educate the young student from basic science to practical science of agriculture. And to do that, we need to expose young people to current and real situation. And to do that, the role of teachers or researchers are very, very important. We need, teacher needs to be aware about this importance. Then new approaches I explained to overseas study tour and also SATREPS. And agricultural technology is locally specific by its nature. And so the development of new adaptive technologies in the locality or the adaptation of available technologies to that particular locality must be tested in the developing countries. Okay, I'm from ICCAE, and thanks. Thank you very much.